So basically, I'd like to start by introducing Michael and talking about what we're doing today. So as you probably are well aware from the advertising of the session, Michael's going to take us through some of his activities today that are games and activities for commencing your lessons. And after about 45 minutes of going through, I think he's going to do 3 particular activities. We'll give him 5 minutes to have a look at any of your Q&A questions so that that you've typed in that he can respond to. During that, I'm just going to give a little update on what's new in Matific this year and what's coming out new for next year. And then back to Michael for him to answer his questions rather, sorry. So just close that one again. So as I said, Michael's based in Melbourne, and I first met Michael on the Gold Coast at a Queensland Association of Maths Teachers conference a couple of years ago. If you go to your local Maths Association conferences, there's great professional development there, and people like Michael are asked to come along and present. I really enjoyed how Michael's sessions gave activities that had that low floor, high ceiling approach, and that he had all sorts of scaffolding there to assist those who are having difficulty while extending those who were up for another challenge. And subsequently thought Mike would be a great presenter for us to offer you some complementary maths professional development. So Michael, I'm going to stop sharing and you should be able to then share your screen.
All right, let's see how this goes. Here we go. We good?
Yes, we're good.
All right, beautiful. All right, hi everyone. Thanks for carving out time from your afternoon. Now I can see on my end, I keep getting a pop-up telling me my internet connection's unstable. So apologies, and I guess we just have to bear with. Obviously, today is not the day to be doing a webinar, so hopefully this goes reasonably well. So the idea of this afternoon is to just give you a bit of an introduction into some really practical, easy warm-ups that you can take and use with your students, but also maybe to talk a little bit more about like the role of warm-ups and some pedagogy around maths lessons as well. A quick acknowledgement of country, pay respects to, obviously we're all in different parts of the country, but pay respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people on whose lands we're meeting, and acknowledge any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who are in the session today. Jared's touched on some of these things. To fully participate in this session, it'd be great if you've got something to write with. I can, as I'm talking now, if you want to go grab a notepad and pen or whatever, but to fully participate, it'd be great if you've got something to record with. The chat function is the best place to communicate, but I am going to try to make this session interactive. So I will be asking for people to participate, and the participation will be done through the chat function where you can say, yep, I'm happy to participate. But then that's when we're looking for you to switch your mic on and be part of the live session. So if you're reluctant, you don't want to speak, don't volunteer through the chat to do that. And as Jared said, at the end, there'll be some time for questions as well. So hopefully we'll be able to get to any questions you've got, but you can put them in the chat now as we are going along. Now, big believer in terms of pedagogy that warm-ups are crucial in maths education. So we're running a maths ed session this afternoon. We are going to start with a warm-up. So we are walking the walk. This warm-up is called a maths grid. Now, what I'm going to put up on the screen is not the maths grid that we're going to be using. This is an example maths grid. So I'm going to just use this to explain how it works. So there's going to be 3 headings for the columns. There's going to be 3 headings for the rows. Now, in this example one, I've only filled in some of the columns and one of the rows because we just want to get an idea about how this works. So in the first box here, we are looking for a number that is going to match 2 of the clues here. So is there someone who could just type into the chat? Is there someone who can type into the chat a number they think that could go in that top left column for me? Now, is the chat disabled? Oh, here we go. Thank goodness. All right, 324. Now, can the other people type in the chat? I'm hoping they can, because otherwise... Can someone else try and type something in there for me just to make sure that people can actually type in the chat? We might have a problem here. Is there a way we can make sure that the attendees can also, because we do want everyone to be able to type in the chat. I'd like it to be as interactive as possible.
Okay, I'll have a look at what's going on there.
Yeah, because obviously, there's people typing question and answer. I can. All right, so you can do it in the question and answer. All right, just use the Q&A. All right. Well, people saying I can type in the chat. Well, Laura, you might be able to type in the chat, but I can't see it. So if we can use the question and answer function, that's fine. Let's put our stuff there. All right, beautiful. So in the Q&A function, can somebody put in a number that would fit into this box here? So we've got to match the two clues. Can someone put a number into that box there? That would work.
Melinda's going to.
Okay. Katya, we got 214. Fantastic. Now, 214 is obviously a 3-digit number, and the sum of the digits does equal 7 because 2 plus 1 plus 4 equals 7. So the idea is that we need you to get 9 different numbers, one in each of the boxes, and each number needs to be different from the other numbers. And that's the way that this works as a warm-up. So this is just the practice one. This is not the one that we're actually going to do. So what I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to share the screen. So we click across to the next slide so you can see the actual one that we're going to be doing. I'm going to give you 3-4 minutes to fill in the boxes as best you can. Try to get something for all of the 9 boxes. And then we'll come back and we'll share. We'll talk about how that might run as a warm-up in your classrooms. Are there any questions about that before we start? Sandra's got 142. Sophia's got 124. That would all be good for that second box as well. All right. Beautiful. Here we go. Here is, now that's the demonstration maths grid. Here is our actual, oh, sorry, I should have explained this as well. When we do this with a class, the scoring system would be, so every number you get that matches the 2 clues, that would be the equivalent of giving yourself 1 tick. Like, yep, that's a tick in that box. Sorry. Now I know why it's doing that. So that would be a tick to say, yep. But if you come up with a number in this box that nobody else has got, then you would score yourself 2 ticks. Okay, so the maximum amount of score you could get would be 18 points. All right, these are the clues that you guys are working with. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 minutes to have a go doing it. Please don't type answers into the chat. Just do it on your own paper and pencil off to the side. And then we're going to come back and have a chat. Best of luck. All right. Now, there's a couple of ways we could run this. I'm just going to chat. If you're still filling out the 9 boxes, I'd expect you probably would still be filling out the 9 boxes. If you're still filling out the 9 boxes, feel free to keep doing that whilst I talk. There's a couple of ways we could run this in a classroom. I mean, I was in school today and I did this with some year 4s. I also did this with some year 6s. One way would be to do it as a whole class. So as a warm up at the start of the lesson, to put this up on the board. And if we're doing that with the whole class, we're going to be looking for 9 different answers from 9 different students. So we're not going to hear from the same child twice. We're going to want to hear from 9 different people. The other way you could do it would be to send them off either by themselves or with a partner. And then their job is to try to fill in the 9 boxes themselves and then come back and share as a group. We might just have a quick run through and see what it looks like doing it as a whole class. So what I'm going to ask for is if somebody is happy to share one of their numbers, if they could type a yes into the question and answer, and then let's see how we go switching their mic on and hearing people. So don't switch your mic on until you've been invited. Angela, I feel like your mic might be on if you want to switch it off. So if you're happy to share, okay. Katja, are you happy to switch your mic on for us? Let's see how this goes. Katja Nelson, are you able to switch your microphone on? Is there anyone else who's happy to share?
Angela's got her hand up.
Yeah, she's had her hand up the whole time, but I'm not sure if she's happy to share.
Okay.
Here we go. Oh, Katja, you switched it on and we couldn't hear you. I don't know what's going on. Cindy, are you able to switch your mic on for us?
Hopefully I've got it on. Can you hear me?
We can, Cindy. I got to tell you, this is a great way to get a big response because I'm so excited to hear your voice. I've never been more excited to hear someone's voice in a webinar as I am to hear yours, Cindy. Cindy, which box would you like to fill in?
Oh my gosh, the pressure.
Yeah, I know. Let's hope you give us a good answer.
I know. I was going to go for 2-digit, less than 50.
Oh, we call this in maths, we call this the low-hanging fruit, Cindy. You've really pushed yourself there. Okay, Cindy, give us, what's your 2-digit number that's less than 50?
I was just starting at the start, 49.
49. Now, Cindy, I'm going to go exactly against what I said before, just because of some of the logistical issues with the webinar. I'm going to ask if you're happy to fill in another 1 or 2 boxes before we look for another volunteer. And hopefully people see how wonderful you're doing and feel less pressure. Cindy, what other box can you do for me?
Let's go across the top. The square number, I went 25.
Beautiful.
And the sum of digits is 9. I did 36.
36. Incredible. Thank you, Cindy. All right, let's see who else we've got. Anonymous attendee. This is very mysterious. Anonymous attendee, can you switch your microphone on for us?
I think that's me, Sarah.
Hello, Sarah. It's much better to know your name. All right. Sarah, what can you do? Now, Angela, are you able to switch your microphone off? Are we able to switch it?
Oh,
I'm gonna mute Angela. All right, Angela, you're muted. All right, Sarah.
Yeah.
Talk to me. What can you fill in?
Bottom left, multiple of 7 less than 50. 14.
Yep. 14. And you know what? Can I just give you some more credit? I love the mathematical language. The bottom left. I love it. Okay, 14. Can you give us 1 or 2 more, Sarah?
Yeah, about bottom middle, square number, multiple of 7, 49.
But we can't have 49. 49 unless you want to change this one, because we need 9 different numbers. So, Sarah, what if we put 49 in here, and then do you want to change that top left?
Can I change it to? Oh, look, just 47.
Beautiful, 47. Now, I'm a big advocate for doing this with the kids. I probably shouldn't be writing the numbers so big, but rather than erasing things, I think we cross things out, because if kids see us cross things out, they'll be more comfortable crossing things out. Sarah, give me 1 more number.
Pressure.
I notice you're shying away from the triangular numbers, Sarah.
Do you know what? Can I be totally honest here? I've got no idea what that means.
You know what, Sarah? I guarantee you're not the only person in the session who doesn't know what it means. Give me the bottom right. Can you do that for me?
Oh, I was trying that one.
We haven't got one yet. That's fine.
Yeah.
do we have somebody, you know, can I just, you know, I'd love to just, let's pretend, Sarah, that I've just come over to you and your partner while you've been working, and you're saying to me, I actually got no idea what a triangular number is.
Yeah.
This is, oh, I thought I had left myself a blank slide, but I haven't. Oh, I have. This is what I would do, right? I would just show you visually what a triangular number is. So, Sarah, 1 is a triangular number. That's not very helpful at the moment, is it? All right, let's keep going. Okay. 3 is also a triangular number. 6, also a triangular number. Now, Sarah, can I put you on the spot? What do you think is going to be the next triangular number?
Ooh. It'll be 10.
You got it, Sarah. And so now the next student I come across, Sarah, who says, I actually don't know what a triangular number is, I'm saying, you should go and talk to Sarah and her partner because they're experts on triangular number and they could show you. And I would just say to them, Sarah, use the same thing I did. Make sure you draw it and make sure it's really visual for them. So the idea here is that even within a warm-up, that we can, not just we can be very comfortable introducing new terminology because, Sarah, can you give me a triangular number that's less than 50?
I can now. Can I give you 10?
Beautiful. 10 is a triangular number that is less than 50. So now we've learned something new while we've been doing this. Fantastic. Do we have someone who's happy to take it home and finish it off for us and do the final 3 boxes? This is the same technique I use when I'm in classrooms. It's called creating an uncomfortable silence and waiting for someone to step into it. I was with grade 6s today. My goodness, there was not a lot of participation from these kids. And afterwards, when we spoke with the teachers, and it was particularly, we got 4 people who've raised their hand. Let's see who's raised their hand. Melinda Wallace, can you unmute? Oh, here we go. Melinda's ready. Go, Melinda.
I didn't put up my hand.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. You've been publicly named. Melinda, can you do any of these final 3 ones?
I'm going to struggle because I thought the next square number might be 36, but we've already got 36.
But we could do this, right, Melinda? Oh, hold on. I've stopped. Hold on. I got to get the pen back up. Okay, so we could put 36 there, and we could change this one, couldn't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
So what do you want to change that one to?
81.
Beautiful. That works.
I'll throw in 63, Michael. I'll throw in 63 for the bottom. Sorry, column 3, row. Well, is it row 4 because in column 4 because you count the first one? Anyway, bottom right corner, 63.
Bottom right, I love it. Now you know what we're going to do. I'm going to actually just model something here to say. Let's say we get to the end of the warm up and we don't have anyone who can do that. What we might say is, you know what? Let's leave that and maybe we'll come back to it later. Right now, I straight away know there's a number that's going to work there. But rather than me jumping and give it to the kids, if we leave that, I guarantee you within the next half an hour, one of the kids is coming up to me and saying, oh, you know, it's 45 could go there. Yeah. So the idea that like leaving something for the kids to think about, also a really fantastic little teaching technique. Thank you very much to the people who participated in that. Now, where does the idea come from? It comes from this. My son, like I was just, before we went online to do this, I was reading with my son and doing today's hoop grid. My 9-year-old son is obsessed with doing this every day of the week. These come up online every day. And the idea is, in this box here, you've got to work out a player who played for the Lakers and the Chicago Bulls. And the percentages is how many people around the world put the same player in the same box. And the idea is you want to get them more obscure players. So this is just a simple maths version of that as a warm-up. That is a grade 4 class in Melton, which is sort of outer west suburbs of Melbourne. And I could tell, when this is the first time I ever did it with a group of kids, I could tell straight away the teacher thought, this is not going to work. And this is the filled in grid from the same group of kids. And it worked fantastically well. And you can see down the bottom here exactly what we did with Sarah, which is like a little bit of teaching on the spot. What is the square number? And teaching it in a way that's really visual. So not a square number is anything times itself. Like square number, like when we make the array, it looks like a square. So maths grid, fantastic as a warm-up. Year levels you could use it with. Well, pretty much any. I mean, I would suggest if you're going to use it with young year levels, so let's say you're going to use this with year ones, I would suggest maybe go with 2 columns. So you've only got 6 boxes to fill in. And obviously the terminology you use here is going to be different. So sometimes I just have like, you know, 2-digit number and it's got a 7 in it. So 17, 27, 77, any 2-digit number that's got a 7 in it will work. So you can change the terminology that you use. All right. So we're here talking about warm-ups. So what are the purposes for using a warm-up at the start of a maths lesson? Because I would say this is the lesson structure that I advocate. So we do a lot of work with schools, running curriculum days, going into classrooms, doing modeled lessons is exactly what I was doing today. And when I'm doing modeled lessons in school, this is the lesson structure that I follow. And I always start off the lesson with some sort of warm-up or warm-up game or warm-up activity. So why is that? Like, why are we saying warm-ups are really important? Well, I think the thing that's really crucial on this slide is the third point here. What's the primary purpose of a warm-up? So the primary purpose is engagement. The primary purpose is to say, how do I make sure that when we're starting this maths lesson off, that the students, but also the teachers, are feeling happy, positive, engaged, excited about the upcoming session? Now, one of the things we know is that not all kids love maths, and that's one of the things, that's one of the missions we're working on, but also not all teachers love maths, right? And so if I'm planning with a group of year 6 teachers and there's 4 teachers in the team, say including myself, well, I love maths. Maybe one of the 4 is not a huge fan of maths, and we want to make sure that the maths lessons in that classroom are starting off as positive, energetic experiences. Okay, we want to make sure that that teacher's feeling comfortable, that that teacher has a bank of warm-ups that they enjoy using with their kids and their kids know how to play. We want to make sure that our warm-ups are brief. We don't want them to take over the whole lesson. They don't have to link to the focus of the main lesson. It's good if they can, but they don't have to, because remember, our primary purpose is engagement. So if I'm running a maths lesson and the focus of the lesson is on volume, for example, I don't want that teacher I was talking about before who's not that enthusiastic, I don't want that teacher spending their Sunday night fretting about what am I going to do tomorrow morning for a volume warm-up. I would much prefer that teacher say, well, we're doing this lesson on volume tomorrow. I'm going to start off with a maths grid. I know that's going to be a positive start to the lesson. I know my kids love doing them. So, and then obviously there's other benefits to warm-ups as well. So introducing new vocab, revisiting concepts, developing fluency. So there's lots of reasons and purposes about why we start our maths lessons off with warm-ups. Now, one of the other big things I think in terms of like types of warm-ups you can use are maths games. So again, rather than talking about it, we're going to do that through playing a maths game. Now, again, I need a volunteer who's going to play this game with me, or who's going to get it started playing this game. If you're happy to switch your mic on and play the game, can you just type a yes into the chat? Now, I would say normally we want different people, but you know what? I'll take anyone. I'm happy to have Sarah come back again. So anyone who's happy to switch their mic on and be part of the game, greatly appreciate it. They just type a yes into the question and answer part, not into the chat, because I can't see the chat. Now, am I to assume that Melinda's hand up means she's happy to have a go of this game as well? Or is Melinda hasn't worked out how to put her hand down. And she's
I
just
don't know how to put my hand down. You're quite right. It says lower hand. I should do that.
There you go, Melinda.
I'll have a go.
But while you're on, Melinda, let's do it. Yeah.
I'll have a go.
This game is called Chocolate Chip Cookies. Now, well, ideally, Melinda's going to have the first turn and she's going to hand over to someone else. But it would be great if we had some volunteers in the question and answer to do it. Because what I'm trying to simulate here is what it would look like in a classroom. And I absolutely wouldn't let Melinda do all the heavy lifting in a classroom. So hopefully we get some volunteers. Oh, good. I can see some people. That's okay, Sarah. Good on you, Sarah. So Sarah, we've got a couple of people there ready to go. All right. So what does it look like this game? First thing is, here are the rules. Melinda, don't freak out. I'm not even going to get you to read that. So I wouldn't introduce a new game to a group of kids by giving them a whole bunch of rules to read, right? I think the best way to introduce a new game is by playing the game. So we are going to play the game, Melinda. So this is the game board. Now, this is on paper, obviously, with a document camera. Yeah, but in a classroom, this would be up on the whiteboard. So I'm going to say, let's go with state of origin colors. So over here, this is the Queensland team, and the blue is going to be the Michael Minas Victorian team. Now, Melinda, very, very easy to play. I'm going to roll a regular 6-sided dice, and whatever number I get. Oh, Melinda, do you know what these circles are?
Well, I'm assuming they're cookies.
You got it, Melinda, and they are cookies. They're not chocolate chip cookies because our job is to add the chocolate chips in. So I'm going to roll the dice. Let's say I roll a 3. Now, if I put 3 chocolate chips in this cookie here, I'm also going to put 3 chocolate chips in this cookie. So whatever you fill in, you're filling in the entire row with that many chocolate chips. Does that make sense, Melinda?
It does.
All right. And then, Melinda, once you've had the first go, we're going to pass off to somebody else to play for Team Queensland to make sure that we get a few people having a turn here. I'm going to start us off. So first roll is going to be me, Melinda. I got a 4. I am going to put 4 up here in this row. All right, Melinda, over to you. You also got a 4. Now, what are you going to do?
I'm going to put them on the 3rd row.
Okay, a bit of a risk taker. I like it. Now, Melinda, in a classroom, what I would get you to do, because I want to simulate what this would look like in a classroom, is you would have that whiteboard marker, and you've just filled that in, and you would go and hand that whiteboard marker to another student like a baton, and that student then comes up the front and they have the next turn. Now, the idea is I don't want to be in charge of picking who's coming up. It's not my job. And I think there's a lot of power in students picking each other. So, Melinda, the other kids would not be allowed to put their hand up. And they're also not allowed to do this. They're not allowed to signal that they don't want to turn. The idea is you can pick anyone and anyone can get up the front and have a go. Now, in my course of doing this sort of warm-up with kids, from time to time, you get a kid up the front who is very anxious and very nervous about being up there. I've never, in my life as a consultant, I've never had a situation where it hasn't been a positive experience for the kid getting up there. They get up there, they do it. If they need some help to do it, they get some help. And they always feel great about themselves for getting up and having a go. And I would say probably 5 in 10 times when I visit a classroom, the classroom teacher will comment, geez, wasn't it great that Melinda got up the front? She never gets up. I can't believe that she got up there. And I can't believe the look on her face when she sat back down. And I really saw an impact in the way she engaged with the rest of the lesson. So, Melinda, we don't have a lot of people with their hand up at the moment. We're gonna hand off the marker to Sarah, and you can mute yourself. Sarah, I'm gonna have the next turn. That's gonna be back over to you. All right, I've got a 5, Sarah. I am gonna fill in the top row. So I'm going to go all the way along and fill in every cookie with 5 chocolate chips. All right, Sarah, this is your moment. You got a 4 as well.
Yeah. Am I guessing that we're trying to get the most amount?
Sarah, you know what's amazing? It's amazing working with adults and working with 11-year-olds. Very similar. You're right, Sarah. I haven't explained the objective of the game. I haven't said what the aim is. It's kind of implied, isn't it? Like if you think about time on planet Earth, getting more chocolate chips is obviously a good thing. Sarah, you got it. The aim is to get the most chocolate chips.
Okay, so I will go to the row with 4 in it.
Okay. All right, I'm going to have my turn. Now, Sarah, I'm hoping that while I'm having my turn, somebody else volunteers to have a turn. All right, Katja can't switch her mic on, so that's her issue. I'll have my turn. Hopefully someone pops up in the meantime. All right, I've got a 5 again. That's a good roll for me. All right. Now, this is the reason why in a classroom I wouldn't ask for hands up, Sarah. We'd just be picking someone. But we've got someone. Cindy.
Yes, it's Katja. Finally.
Oh, Katja.
Get
Hi.
a
All right, I'll
six,
roll for
Katja,
you.
get a 6.
Six, six, six.
6.
Yeah. Top row.
Now you
please.
haven't decided. You can put it down the bottom if you could do the bottom one if you want.
Yeah. Dream on.
Don't
Top
listen.
row, please.
All right. 1, 2,
Everybody
3,
has
4,
to get
5, 6.
considered to be a red team. Come on.
I unmuted you, Katja. If anyone needs me to
Ah,
unmute
I
you,
love
I
it.
can do that.
All right, now Cindy's going to go next. So Cindy, you can unmute yourself. I'll have this next turn. I've got a 3. I am going to take a risk. I'm going to leave that row there empty. Cindy, you've got a bloody hell. You got a 5.
Second bottom row.
Okay. All right, my turn. And we got someone else. I think we've got someone else. I love it. This is I have a very stressed dog. You know what, Roxanne? You can just do it via the. Well, you know what, Roxanne? You don't really have any bloody decision to make here. We'll just do the last turn for you because there's no thinking involved. 5 for me. So my 5 goes in there. And then last turn for Team Queensland is a 2. Now, in a classroom, I would now ask the kids to estimate who they think's won. Always good to talk to the kids about what that means to estimate, because when you say that, you'll guarantee some of the kids on the carpet will be going, I said, hold on. I said, estimate. Stop counting the dots, mate. So we first do some estimating. Then I always model how we might go about working out the total. And the idea is that by me modeling, I'm hoping the other kids can pick up on that way. So I'm going to do some multiplying first. So 5 5s are 25. 4 4s are 16. 3 5s are 15. 2 5s are 10. And 1 3 is 3. Then I normally ask the kids, what do you reckon I should add up first? And it's very rare that a student will straight away go towards complementary numbers. So most of the time you'll get kids who'll say 10 and 3 or 25 and 16, because their idea is you either do the smallest numbers or the biggest numbers. And I say, I don't think so. I don't think they're the best numbers. Now, you can do this via the chat, guys. Does anyone want to suggest what 2 numbers would it make the most sense for me to add up first? Now, when I say the chat, I mean question and answer, not the chat.
Let's see if someone's put it in. Yep, I think so.
Here we go. We've got something. Yeah, Sarah, you got it
Yes.
right. So 25 and 15 go together nicely. That gives me 40. Then I can add 10 on. Now I've got 50, right? Oh, my goodness. I've got to tell you a story about this as well. So 50 plus 10 is 60. 66 plus 3 is 69. I'll tell you something. 69 comes up in this game more often than what you would like. One time I was working in South Australia. We're doing this with a group of grade 6s. I did my total. It was 69. A couple of kids laughed and I was like, okay, let's just keep this moving. All right, let's do your total. We started doing their total. It was 69 as well. It was a 69 or draw. So it's obviously something to do with the number of cookies and the probability of rolling a 6-sided dice. Anyway, let's see what you guys have got. So now, obviously, with a group of kids, I wouldn't do this. I'd be asking a student to do it. I wonder if we have someone who, there's lots of people who've just volunteered an answer. I wonder if Kelly would be happy to switch your mic on and do the calculating for us. Come on, Kelly. All right, I'm going to take that as a strong no from Kelly. Sarah McCloy. Ooh, Sarah McCloy. Sophia McCloy had a great idea.
I was about to say, hang on a sec.
Yes, your
So-
sister's in the set. Your sister's in the session as well. Sarah, your twin sister. All right, Sophia. What do you tell me? Do the multiplying for me first.
Okay, the top row is 5 lots of 6. So that's 30.
Yeah. I'm not writing anything down till you tell me, all right?
Oh, no worries. Sorry about that. And then the second row is 4 lots of 4. That's 16. Then 3 lots of 4 is 12. That's the third row down. 2 lots of 5 is 10. And then obviously 2.
And what do you think about adding them up?
Well, look, I always like to add 10 to something. So I went 10 to the 12 to make it 22, add the 2 on to make it 24. And then I added the 30 on. This is probably not what my students would do.
Yeah.
And where was I up to? So it was at 24 plus the 30, that's 54. Then the 16 takes you to 70.
Wow. What a thriller. You guys won by 1 point. Love it. Thank you very much to the people who participated, especially Sophia when I butchered her name. So that's an example of a maths game being utilized as a warm-up. There's some work samples. So I would say there are 4 ways you can play a maths game as a warm-up. Teacher versus class is what we just did, with me taking on the role of teacher, you guys being in the class. Group A versus Group B would just be you splitting the class in half and saying, you guys are going to play against you guys. I mean, the benefit of that is there's obviously a lot more student participation. So let's say we had 5 kids have a turn in that game and I had 5 turns. Well, if we play Group A versus Group B, now we're having 10 kids have a turn. We're doubling the number of kids having a turn, but we're obviously losing the teacher talk. We're losing me doing the thinking aloud, me modeling strategies. Students playing each other one-on-one, that's a very common way we play games. That's a great way to do it once kids are familiar with the game. The last one is the one that's probably very underutilized in classroom, which is students playing the game 2 against 2. And the benefit of that is that it encourages true collaboration. So Cindy and I are playing together, and I'm saying, oh, hold on, Cindy, I don't know, should we put the 5 in the top? Should we wait to see if we can get a 6? Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. They do have pretty low numbers. Like, we can be talking to each other about the strategies of the game and learning from each other. Now, if you are looking for good games to use for maths warm-ups, my website is full of them. There's over 100 games on there. They are all entirely free. They all come with little videos where you can learn to play the games. There's a little section on the website that shows you, by year level and focus content areas of particular games. And every game, that's the little section for chocolate chip cookies. That's my gorgeous son there. And every game comes with tells you what concepts are covered, tells you what equipment you need, gives you some good questions you can ask while playing the game, and also sort of acknowledges where the game came from, like who invented the game, because the games are sort of taken from all over the place. We also have a YouTube channel, but I mean, the YouTube channel is probably not as good as the website, because the website has the game sorted into some sort of order and stuff. So if you haven't checked out the website, I would highly suggest that you jot down the address, and you're bound to find some great stuff there that you haven't seen before. All right, let's do another warm-up. This one is called Today's Target. Very, very simple warm-up. So the way it works is you will give the kids a whole bunch of parameters. So in this case, we've got 10 different ways that we're looking to make a target number. And so it's adding 2 numbers, finding the difference between 2 numbers, multiplying 2 numbers, adding 3 numbers, etc., etc. And then we give them a target number. So in this case, we're going to make the target 40. Now, obviously, every day that you play this, the target number can be different. Then we are asking for 10 different people to give us 10 different equations to make the number 40. Now, the idea here is I always encourage classrooms to say, if you're nervous, if you're apprehensive about having a go, best bet would be to get in early and pick one that you're confident, because you don't need to do them in order. So if you want to say, for example, I'm going to do it multiplying 2 numbers, and 2 times 20 is 40, you can put your hand up, you can do that one first, and then you can sit back and relax for the rest of the session. So that's a really easy warm-up. Do we have, maybe just because of time, maybe we might just do via the question and answer chat. if anyone want to type in an equation, maybe you can type into the question and answer like what number you're doing. So if you're doing number 8, put 8, and then what's the equation you're doing for 8. If you're doing number 5, put 5, full stop, and then what's the equation you're doing for number 5. And let's just see if we can get a few equations that way. So Kelly's got question 4. Excellent. And then she just got blank. I know she's thinking. I'm sorry, Kelly. Oh, here we go. Kelly, have you done? Oh, you've done it. Oh, incredible. Sorry, Kelly. I'm taking the piss. Okay. So 32 plus 3 plus 5. Okay. So let me just record that up there on the screen. So 32 plus 3 plus 5. Now, Kelly, I'm going to do something. This is not what's happened, but I'm going to just do something. We might have had earlier in the session, we might have had someone done 35 plus 5 equals 40. Now, in that scenario where that happens, I always, now obviously this is very obvious because there's only 2 equations up there, but I always like to say, I really love Kelly's equation. I think Kelly's equation is similar to another equation up there on the board. And then I leave it to the kids to tell me, Kelly's equation is really similar to Michael's equation. I say, yeah, they are. And then I'll circle them in a certain color and connect them up and say, how are they similar? Oh, well, Kelly's equation, she's just taken that 35 and she's broken up into a 32 and a 3. The idea of that type of conversation is that we are trying to move kids towards more sophisticated operations. So the kids who are just giving you 20 plus 20 is 40, we want to get them to see how they can work with more. So, multiplying and subtracting, you might get a kid who says, 2 times 25, take away 10. Now that could go straight over some kid's head, but if they see that that's actually really similar to 50 take away 10, then there's every chance that the next time around, maybe they're going to have a go at that more complicated equation. So drawing the students' attention to what's similar and what's different, I think is a really fantastic tool that you can use in this as well. Now, Jared, I'm just conscious of the time, and I feel like, well, before I say that, let me just click this off. This is a version for younger kids. And then obviously, you're going to get the video of this or copies of the slides or whatever. You can look and sort of work this out and pick the things that you want to use with your students. Just as an aside note as well, I don't put up the sentences on the board like that. So if I'm saying, we want to make it by adding 2 numbers, I'm just writing this, something plus something equals whatever the target is. Because I just think that's a lot more visual, a lot more accessible to kids than having that big slab of text up there. So that's a version that you could use with sort of, grade 1s or grade 2s or whatever may be the case. Now I am conscious of the time. I feel like, should I pause there to have an opportunity to talk about the event, Matific, etc., and then we could wrap it up by doing some question and answers? Is that a good point to pause at?
Yeah, sure. So if you stop sharing, Michael, and I'll share again, and anyone's got any particular questions they rather type than say, just put them in the Q&A in the meantime, and Michael should be having a look at those ready to respond. Then we'll do a verbal as well. So basically, I'm just giving a very quick update on Matific when Michael's doing that. And so if you're not familiar with Matific at all, which I doubt is the case with the people here, online student maths platform that previously been foundation level up to year 6, but we'll talk a bit more about that. So some of what's been new this year, and it's good to flag this even for people who have Matific because they may not be aware. There's live classroom now where you can see what students are doing in live time. So if they're in arena, it should be, it'll tell you. It'll also give you an idea of whether they're doing well or struggling with their current activities. So if you haven't checked out Live Classroom, do that. We've also added this year an administrator dashboard. So the administrator can now on the dashboard choose whole school as opposed to a class and look at data from across the school. Plan management's a big one. So basically now you can save the activities you've scheduled and reuse that as a plan the following year to save you having to find them and assign them again. You can share the plan with colleagues by sending them a link. And you can also use preset plans that we have. Either use them as they are or you can edit them and change them to suit your particular context. We've added over 215 activities in the first 10 months of this year, mostly for year 7. So whether it's for high school or for extension for year 6, there's a lot of new content, and we'll continue to develop that. So then there's what's coming for next year. There'll be, for the beginning of next year, extra reports. So you'll be able to look at how students are going with their mastery of various concepts. You'll be able to look at their various, so these indicate here, you can do it by class, as I've got here, or by student. So this will be telling you 13 of your students are operating at year 3 level and 7 somewhere in between year 3 and year 2 and so on. So that's another one of the types of reports we've been developing. We're bringing in a hotspotting feature. So we'll use little emojis. So if a teacher wants to direct students to go, I want you to go to a particular activity, you haven't got that problem of, oh, it's the one with the picture of, or we could bring back the old feature where you can name it by text. You just say, go to the one with the koala on it. I want everyone to go to the one with the koala on it. Then students will also get a notification too. You can tell them that you want them to go and play a particular activity right now. So that'll be new for 2024. Just move this out of the way a bit and I can move on. Try clicking better. All right, so teachers have been asking for more control over various aspects. So at the moment, you can turn, say, Arena off and do things like that, but you're now going to be able to do more than that. So you'll be able to actually direct the students to have to do the work that you want them to do before they go off to the free choice. So you can see areas can be locked. You can say you haven't done the assigned work. So your teacher wants you to do the assigned work before you go on and do the other work. And then for the middle school, probably from about year 5, we're going to bring out another new interface, because the kids are getting older. They also, after years, might be getting tired of the same old look. So it's going to have a space type theme to it. So that's exciting for them, along with that content. And then, as Michael was flagging, we're going to bring Michael up to Brisbane. So for people in Brisbane, Southeast Queensland, May 16 next year, over at the North Lakes Hotel, Michael's going to do a whole day of professional development. I can send you details. People have been asking what's in session 1, 2, and 3. The focus is primarily for school leaders, because we're limited in how many we can have, and we're already getting good registrations for this. So one of the schools, I think some of the people are joining us tonight, to one of those schools today, said they'd like to send 10 people from their school. So there's 10 spots gone already, and they're not the first school to register. So the day is another day, expanded session with Michael like you've had today. It's sponsored by Matific. So basically, we're paying 2/3 the cost of the day, and the schools are only paying $99, including GST, for people to attend, and that includes a lovely lunch there at the hotel. It's not about Matific. I'll do a little 10-minute thing on Matific that day, which hopefully will bring it to the awareness of people who aren't familiar with it, because amazingly, we still get people saying, never heard of Matific, and then see it and realize how good it is. So that's basically it. You can contact me. Michael's already thrown up some details, but I put them in as well. So I'm often telling people, have you checked out Love Maths? Because there's lots of great activities there. So not only for looking at the activities, but Michael is a maths consultant who works across the country. So feel free to contact him directly if you're interested in engaging his services. I know he's already got other schools in Southeast Queensland booking him up for when he's up here in May next year. And certainly we'd like to look in the future at putting on other days around Australia with him as well. But go to his website for content and contact him about ideas for engaging his services or attending his own conference that he's running. There's my contact details. If you're interested in getting a demonstration or a trial happening with Matific, then please reach out to me. And then Michael will stop the sharing, and then let's just have a look. Yep.
We don't have any questions at the moment. I'm just gonna share that back up again. Just while we're doing questions, just so people know, the focus of the day is on the proficiencies, and it's really going to be a day that is focused very much on the how, on the pedagogy, how we teach maths, what does good maths teaching look like. And yeah, I'm really excited to be Well, I'm actually going up there in January as well, Jared. I was planning this
Right.
last night. I'm doing curriculum days up there in January. And we get back from overseas and we have like less than 24 hours here, and then I'm going to be flying back up to Brisbane. So I do a bit of work up in Brisbane. So yeah, really looking forward to coming up and doing that. So fantastic. If you have any questions about today or about the session up in Brisbane or about anything else whatsoever, here we go. We've got something here.
Yeah. You got that
okay.
one from Anonymous?
Yes. Okay, so I'll just read it so people know what it is. So Sarah, yeah, I will forward the slides. I don't have I can do that via Matific, so Jared and I can make a plan to do that, and I'll make sure that happens.
We'll be sending people the recording, Michael, so if you see the slides as well, then it could go out together to people.
Yeah. All right. Now this question: teach 6 to 9 year olds. The hardest part of teaching maths to me is meeting the varied needs. Okay. Yeah. So look, I mean, there's absolutely no way I can answer that right now. But what I would say is that exact question is a big part of what we're going to talk about on the day up in Brisbane, so the proficiencies day. So one of the crucial things, I think, any sort of maths PD that you're doing has to take into account the eye differentiation. And I like the fact you've said other than always splitting children into groups based on ability, because ability groups are probably the most overused pedagogy in schools. I'm not saying that you can't use that, but I think for a lot of teachers and a lot of schools, it's like people just do it as a reflex without even thinking about it. So one of the things we will talk about is how we can differentiate, how we can make sure that every kid you're working with is being challenged. And I think part of what we did today, I think anonymous attendee is, I don't know if it is Sarah or someone else, whoever it is, an anonymous attendee, part of what we did today is looking about that idea of differentiation, because, you know, within the maths grid, there were some really easy boxes that people could get. There's some really complicated ones. You know, if we're playing chocolate chip cookies, we could have everyone in the class playing that game. I mean, I've played that game with my son when he was in prep, and he was, at the end, he was counting the dots up to get the total. So he was working on one-to-one correspondence and counting into the 50s and 60s. I mean, you could play that with year 6 students, and you could use a 20-sided dice. So now I've got 17, and I've got to work out, well, what's 4 times 17? Okay, so 2 17s are 34. So 4 17s are 68. So now the multiplying's more complicated. The addition's more complicated. So there's lots of really great ways to differentiate. And this is part of what we're going to talk about next year when I'm up in Brizzy.
And as I said earlier, what I recall from your sessions expertise is and out the front, you had prompts for kids who needed assistance with the basic problem. And then you had other extension ideas. So in the one activity, you could have it operating at a minimum at 3 different levels of difficulty.
Absolutely. Now, there's a question in there about Matific, about can individual teachers purchase Matific for their own class, or does that have to be whole school based?
It can be done with any number of students. It's a per student subscription. The price does come down with bigger numbers of students and with 1, 2, and 3 year agreements. But on the weekend, I signed up a couple of home parents who just wanted it for their 1 or 2 children. So yeah, you can do that for whatever number.
Beautiful. Are there any other questions, guys? Either via the Q&A or via microphones? All right. Well, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, 5 minutes early.
Well, I've got basketball training now. People are saying their students are coming back to class. It's 6:30 down here in Melbourne. I'm about to go take basketball training. I hope to see as many people as we can up in Brisbane.
I'd say those people with the students coming back in might be in WA. So I said they're still in class. New Zealand's probably already had dinner.
It's all
but thank you, Michael, very much. I love the maths grid, the chocolate chip, and today's target activities. I think, you know, you said it's about getting students excited, and, you know, this sort of stuff gets me excited. I was an English person back in the day, and then people started saying to me, you know, I thought you were a literacy English person. Apart from saying, well, primary school teachers do it all. I said, no, I had 8 years working at Origo with Cal Lyons and Brian Tickle and James Burnett and all those wonderful people, and learnt so much. I'm hoping when Michael's up in Brisbane, he'll go up to Cal Lyons Maths Museum at Ocean View. If you don't know about that, that's something worth checking out. And so by the time I went back teaching, kids were always saying, how come you always want to teach maths all the time? Because I'd had my eyes opened through people like the ones I mentioned and people like Michael, who continue to show that mathematics can be very exciting. And that's why I love working with Matific too, that when I was in Tassie last week, the kids were asking me for autographs because they're calling me Mr. Matific. They think I create all the activities. And in New Zealand at Ormiston School, one of the teachers wrote back saying, one of the kids said, it's too good to be true. So hopefully we're getting to a point where kids are starting to really see that maths can be fun and doesn't have to just be about formulas and procedures and rules and memorizing your tables. So thank you very much, everyone. We'll get the slides and the recording to you. Have a lovely evening. See you next time.
See you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Not muted. Thanks, Laurel.
Try to stop that recording. There we are.